good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first ever, the inaugural episode, Terrace Talks, where I kidnap famous white people, and then I just interview them in my terrace.
Yeah, it's good. I like it.
First victim, good friend of show, friend in real life, the one, the only, Ben Burgis.
This is good. You know, it's like feels like some like this is the really good underground stuff. Like no. You have to listen to the Mexico sessions. You know, like that's where they really shine. You know,
like Prince's Black Album that you like. I don't know if you remember Prince had this record. Now you can find it, but it was only released in Europe, and people would be like, "I'm going to a friend's house to dub Prince's Black Album," and you can only get it from nefarious people that also are your coke man.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, I was thinking about something yesterday, which is that, you know, I've been lucky enough to see several of my favorite bands in concert. And when I say my favorite bands, Jason already knows this, but like, I'm not about to like name anything like interesting. I have like the normiest music taste imaginable. I'm just, you know, I mean, like, you know, I'm talking about like Metallica and the Rolling Stones and Black Sabbath and stuff. But
what's wrong with that?
you know, I was thinking about some of those concerts yesterday because we're in the car driving down here from California, and I was just thinking, you know, I've seen people in mosh pits who seemed way less excited about what they were listening to than Jason did when he was rocking out to his Spotify playlist in the car while he was driving.
Look, here's the deal. There's a few songs. And I had been going for a long time. Yesterday, I went and picked Ben up in LA. And whenever I cross the border, because the border is very unpredictable, when I met Ben last year in LA, it took me 6 hours to cross the border. And when I looked, there's a little app that you have for like how long it's going to take. And it said an hour. Yeah. I literally looked at that app. I didn't even do my normal procedures, which is mop the floor before I leave. Yeah. Which is a weird thing. You will be asleep when I mop the floor when we leave tomorrow. Sure. And I just left. This will be real quick. Shoot over. It was a nightmare, right? Finally get through, you know. I remember Nando Villa goes, I had to meet the guy that drove all the way from Mexico. So I crossed the border very early to bypass traffic, and I'll find somewhere to chill. And all these people were like, oh, if we ever cross early, hit me up. Everybody was asleep when I crossed early. So I had to hang out at Denny's. And Ben's like, I'm up because my clock's all off. Rolled to LA. Actually was pretty traffic free on the way over there. We hung out with Ben and his brother. We had a really good breakfast at this place that was really good. Wasn't expecting that many jalapenos in my chilaquiles. Mm-hmm. Definitely paid for it later. And then, driving back, we ended up we pulled over at a outlet mall, not because we needed discount Nikes, but we were looking for. Ben was like, I need a coffee. I was like, oh, there's an outlet mall. Get coffee there. And then we just sat at the outlet mall for like 2 hours talking shit. I was tired on the way back, and there's only like 5 songs that can energize me. And it's like almost like pro wrestling level, like Hulk Hogan getting hit and the crowd screams, and it's like, and it's like Roots by Sepultura. I put Roots on by Sepultura, and I was like, Ben, you cool? And he's like, yeah, I'm cool. I don't think he knew what I meant by that. Like, I'm just going to turn this up a little louder and do a little list. Like, no, it's fucking Roots by Sepultura. This is one of the best breakdowns in the history of breakdowns. When it goes, da, 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 like if you don't do the whole thing, right? And so Ben learned, as many people have to learn the hard way, that everything I do is for real. This isn't a game. That whole go hard or go home, like that's not just a euphemism. You see why I have all those chords, because I broke so many playing live for years. But we've had a good time here in Mexico, and we've had some podcast worthy conversations. I do think there were people that were ear hustling while we were at the Starbucks in San Clemente.
Yeah.
Because we weren't quiet. We were worse than the two old dudes on the Muppets.
Statler and Waldorf.
Yeah, we weren't even being discreet. Like, the conservative part of California, we're like, yeah, I kind of think this guy sucks. How can you think that politically? You're not even trying to be like, which who does that in a real place, right? This isn't. We basically had a Twitter conversation in real life in front of people. And you know how we say, like, no one knows what you're talking about in real life. Either they thought we were special. Who let them out? Or just crazy troublemakers. But only that one lady kind of had the courage to talk to us. But that was because I was messing with her and her.
About the shirt.
Yeah, about her. Yeah. The love.
Yeah. No, I should say also for context, for anybody who doesn't know the area, right? San Clemente, like as we were like driving around trying to find the outlet mall with the Starbucks in it, like these are just the most ridiculous like mansions, like 3 feet away from the ocean, like on a cliff, like with like glass walls. And I just kept thinking about like there's a scene in John Carpenter's They Live where there's this homeless dude you see earlier in the movie, and later in the movie he like you see him in this like super nice suit and stuff because he sold out to the aliens. And I kept thinking, if you sell out to the They Live aliens, this is where they set you up with a house.
I will say, if you find out that I have moved up back to the States and in San Clemente, best believe I've taken the right wing money. Right? I've taken the bag by that point. I've taken the bag.
Yeah.
It's not even a game. I've said poverty is okay, but
well, it's the culture of poverty. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you hear me say stuff like that, like what it is, it's in their minds. It's their minds, and their minds connects to their pants. They don't pull them up.
That's right. That is, yeah. I mean, I think we can agree. Like the main problem, like with economic inequality in America, is that people at the bottom end of it don't pull up their pants.
Look, Ben, I'm trying to be the new Van Jones. Van Jones is aging out of being Van Jones. Like that eternal Negroes looked 45 for the last 18 years.
It's true.
So I think they need a new bald black hour glasses. I don't even have a lisp.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a move in the right direction. CPAC, I see you. Jason's post left, bitch. I'm all right.
That's right.
You see this house in San Clemente? Mega. Yeah. No, I'm over here, like, because it'll be like one of the last times that like we don't quite realize what's happened to you. So it's gonna be like you and me and David Griscom sitting in a room, and me and David will be talking about. It's like, yeah, I mean, like, okay, we need to do something to demilitarize the police. I mean, I'm not sure about the politics, this defund slogan, and Jason could be like, what? No. We need to fund the police more. You have any idea how much property damage like is good? If you haven't beaten 5 black guys' asses today, what is your police really doing? I mean, really, look at these. They're savages, these people. And then I get one of those first act bills passed, like fucking Van Jones, that does absolutely nothing for regular people, or like corporate criminals, just to get off. Like, why do we Why do we feel a just society would lock up an embezzler at all?
Yeah, it's it's the 2029, Jason Myles Criminal Justice Reform Act that like purely only applies to tax cheats and embezzlers.
That's it. Like, evading taxes. What is that really? Who's it hurting? Who's it hurting?
We're willing to compromise for the sake of our criminal justice reform, and like triple punishments for property damage. But like
You know what I'm worried about? Those guys with their pants not pulled up.
That's right.
I'm not worried about, Bernie Madoff. He may have made a few friends of mine commit suicide because they lost their pensions due to horrible investments. But I'm worried about pants.
Yeah.
Pants 2029 is all about pants and where they sit on the waist. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah.
These are all jokes, by the way. Please don't think this is serious.
If anybody does clip that, it's going to cut off before.
Right before I said that. Like, look at this. This is what's wrong with these black.
Like unironically, there's going to be like you're going to be in a Twitter argument with some dude who's calling you a class reductionist, and they're going to post the like Twitter video of the clip of you saying that you want to pull people pull their pants up, and they'll be like, "Oh, this you."
or they have like pictures of me in high school. Like, it looks like your pants were below your crack, buddy. Bingo, we got him.
We coming for you, nigga.
Bingo. But on a serious note,
yeah.
Ben is here and he got some writing done.
Yeah.
One of the things that sold me on moving to this place, besides the fact that it was within my budget, besides the fact the landlord said, "Oh yeah, don't worry about a credit check." I was like, "Oh." Word? I was like, "Do you know what I do for a living?" Nah, you gonna pay me the money?
Yeah.
Like, you also don't have any rights.
I mean, if a landlord does ask you that question, like you should say unemployed instead of having to admit you're a podcaster.
She goes, I don't even think she asked me what I did for a living. And one day she came in one day, and this setup actually that you see here,
Which I'm sure would be with me, because it'd be like, oh, I have a podcast. I do some writing for this magazine you've never heard of. I teach classes now. Like, okay, that all sounds like a long way of saying unemployed.
Yeah. So your wife makes some money, right?
Exactly.
She's gonna be giving us the W2.
Okay, so that's fine. We'll just talk to Jennifer. I know that's fine.
Leave the bum. You're a cute girl. Leave the bum. I don't know what you're doing with that guy. He's dreaming. He's no PewDiePie. But this setup was in that room, and she came in one day to like give me a key or something, or tell me how things work, because things work so differently here. And she would forget that, oh yeah, you're an idiot, you don't know that you have to call this number when the gas goes out. And so she came in, she's like, what is this? I was like, oh, what I do, I have a podcast and I have a show. She goes, okay, you have a show? Is it loud? No. Good. And that's the day I sold my amp. But she saw the music equipment.
Okay,
she
there
was
we go.
This, we're all retired here. Why did I turn into a Jewish lady?
I was wondering about that.
That's just less offensive than
an actual imitation of the accent.
Why I have to do that? And there's cameras. You can totally like see in. That's another thing that
it's okay. She'll overhear that and assume that you're doing an imitation of my grandmother or one of her sisters instead of thinking it's her.
So we're doing impersonations. It's like Norm Finkelstein is my landlord. like Psycho, just like North Finkelstein, like Psycho, like so. Jason, you were doing impersonations. You would think you were a comedian. But Ben Burgis just finished a piece for Daily Beast, which I've never told you this.
Yeah.
I always get confused with the Daily Caller. And every time you say you have something in the Daily Beast, I was like, and then isn't there one called like the Daily Sun?
I don't know the Daily Sun.
The Daily Mail.
Okay, the Daily Mail I know. Yeah, that's
so Caller, Beast, Mail. To me, all the same thing. So I always get them confused. So when you're like, I wrote this piece in the Daily Beast, I was like, why the fuck are you writing for that gossip mag in the UK?
No, I'm writing for gossip mag in the US.
And then I was like, oh, this isn't the thing. And then I was like, why the fuck is he writing for Ben Shapiro? Like, how did he even do that? Is this a debate piece or something?
Yeah, that'll be the Daily Wire.
So
Daily Caller, I think is Tucker Carlson.
Oh God, that's a different thing.
That's a different thing.
Look,
yeah.
Just be cool about it.
Okay.
Wrote one for the Beast.
Wrote one for the Beast.
Got another piece for the Beast. Oh, like that's a very LA thing to do with a scarf.
For the Beast.
Wrote one for the Beast, bro. Look, you're gonna love it. It's for the Beast. But seriously, Ben's been sitting here. He's been working on a piece.
Yeah.
I've been feeling horrible because as Ben has been, creating intellectual work that everyone will read, I've been doing interviews.
I mean, I like the way Jason says doing intellectual work. Like I was like right out here writing like Capital Volume 3 or something. I did an article for the Daily Beast, like making fun of Ben Shapiro, essentially. Like this is not, I don't know if that quite counts as intellectual work.
You did an article
for the Beast. For the Beast. Sorry, for the Beast.
What do you write for the Beast? Another for the Boschcar hits me up, bro. You know how it is. But this one's for the Beast. It's a little different. It's a little different Beast for the Beast. But we were kind of having, like, again, we had podcast level conversation in San Clemente, where surprisingly, I think I got more sunburnt than you, which I'm still trying to figure out, because I was like, I know Ben didn't put any sunscreen on. You might not be able to see because I'm washing him out with all the light. He's like Don Johnson level tan right now. He's gonna go back home and just like, where the fuck was you at? Mexico, huh? Yeah. But we were talking about, we went out earlier today for some food in Puerto Nuevo. And after we passed everyone calling us a gay couple.
Yep.
Well, there was one man that really wanted to bring it home.
What was that?
That's we're fucking. That's, this means that we're fucking. And maybe and fist pumping at the same time.
There you go.
Which is what I think he thought we were doing. I don't.
His understanding of gay sex is it's all just fist pumping.
The guy was like, "Hey, I got stuff for sale," and we're like, "Nah, we're good." And he goes, "I got all kinds of stuff for sale." We're like, "Nah, we're good." He goes, "I'll give you a free shot of tequila." I'm like, "I don't drink. We're good. You guys want gay porn?" I'm like, "Wow, that's a big jump."
It wasn't even like that was like the 20th thing on his that he tried. Like, that was real early in the list.
You're selling like ponchos over here, but you're offering blowjobs in the back. What is? Offer that first. So anyway, so after we got insulted, he was trying to be insulting. We were eating and we were talking about Ben Shapiro, and like, did you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Was that part of your piece?
Yeah.
There was I'd mentioned, it was so funny because I didn't even really know what he was writing, as if it was a secret. I just didn't ask. I figured he was minding his own business, didn't be bothered. we're talking about how my thing was, I was like, I would think Ben Shapiro would get ringers at this point because people are always going to do these owns on Shapiro, and like, how does he handle that?
Yeah.
Does he just pivot off it and say, "Oh, look at what this angry liberal / leftist did to me"? And you were talking about how these kind of futile attempts to quote unquote own the right don't really do much in the long run.
No, or the short run. Yeah, I mean, I think that so the setup of the article is about something that happened last weekend in Dallas. There's something called Podcast Movement. So it was PM22, which I guess means it's the 22nd convention of this thing. I really would not have guessed that podcasting conventions. I'm actually having trouble imagining a person who goes to a podcasting convention, but let's put that aside.
Maybe it was like because it's 2022.
Oh, that's probably it. Yeah, I'll bet that's it.
If it's the 22nd one,
that's so sad. Yeah. Okay. So let's say it's 2000.
Let's just say it's both.
Let's say it's 2000.
You can have it both ways.
Let's say it's 2022. That's actually a much more comforting thought. But
we're here. Both of us are here for podcast 20.
It almost certainly does mean that because it's like that'd be a weird. I mean, how often would they have to do them? Right? Podcasts haven't existed for 22 years.
Just think about it. Like, one day, someone will listen.
So,
welcome to the bi-weekly podcast.
Exactly.
We're at 22. What do you know?
It's it's the joke from The Simpsons, right? The Biomon sci-fi con. So there's this is podcasting convention. People are just big fans of podcasting as a medium, I guess. I mean, I enjoy talking to people in various forms, but I just have to say, I'm imagining being like, ooh, what could I do this weekend? I'm gonna go to the podcasting convention.
Do you know who's gonna be there?
Exactly. Well, let's talk about who was there. So Mark Cuban was there because he just he started last year or something. Anyway, he has some stupid like platforming app for a podcast. And so he was there, do something about that. There was some super popular like true crime podcasters there. And also our friend Ben Shapiro was very briefly there because the Daily Wire had a booth, which
now he owns the Wire.
Yeah, I mean that's his. I think he owns it. It's his media company. He's certainly its face. I don't know what the ownership structure is, but and it should be very unsurprising that the Daily Wire has a booth there because it does a bunch of depressingly popular podcasts.
Does it really?
Oh yeah, the Ben Shapiro Show. I just checked while I was writing the article last month. The July rankings was the 5th most listened to podcast in the United States. So want to take a second to absorb that, but
Jesus Christ, really?
Yeah, there's a Twitter.
Does he have guests, or is it just him?
I guess guests. I mean, I'm not a regular listener, but I believe he has guests.
I feel like you have to do like intel because you actually do. The late Michael Brooks. I remember when he would talk about writing his book.
Yeah,
I felt that was like hellish intel, and maybe Matt McManus is taking on that title of being the guy, and also Rob Larson of like punching themselves in the nuts reading all these books. Oh.
Yeah, I do way less than Matt or Rob did. I did read one of Shapiro's books, The Right Side of History, How Reason and Moral Purpose Made the West Great.
Yikes.
Yeah. Which is a just amazing book because one little side trip on this. The one that like it just feel like whenever he quotes somebody in the book, he's always like, well, as blah 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 adjectives describing him, person, birth and death dates said. And it's like you get the impression that as he was writing it, he had like a stack of 3x5 cards with like all this information about each of the people.
Wikipedia notes.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a fucking awful book. But in so I did read that, but I don't read nearly as much of this as Matt or Rob do. Like I don't have the stamina to read as much of that stuff as they do, but I do read a little bit of
With
it.
self-hate.
Possibly. But yeah, like so Ben Shapiro has a depressingly popular podcast. They have other podcasts, The Daily Wire, that are super successful. I think I said in the article it's about as shocking that that they had the booth, or that Ben Shapiro himself briefly showed up to mingle a little bit, posed for a few people who wanted pictures with him. All of that, I think I said, is about as shocking as like the latest, like there being a big push for whatever the latest forgettable mediocre MCU movie is at like Comic-Con, right? You know, like that all sort of makes sense to me on that same level. But apparently some people really didn't like it and complained about it until the conference organizers put out this
Yeah, I saw that.
Twitter thread where they were like, we want to apologize for the harm done by Ben Shapiro's presence and take responsibility for this. And the point of the article is kind of doing a couple things. One, this is a asinine way of using words like harm, and it's infantilizing and weird, and you shouldn't do that. But also, maybe more importantly for my interests, it's a huge rhetorical gift to Ben Shapiro, right? Of course, he loved that, right? Like he was all over that. The Daily Wire immediately put out this like 1 minute video that was like a narrator who's like reading off like these ridiculous tweets where they're apologizing for all the harm they caused, and it's like intercut with like video footage of Ben Shapiro smiling and posing for pictures with people, and they had some fun with it, right? Probably in the way that you would if the roles were reversed, and but like this is exactly how he wants to brand himself, right? As like he's the edgy, dangerous truth teller whose ideas are so radioactive that the triggered libs, can't stand to be anywhere in the blast zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the other point made in the article is this is all just total nonsense, right? I mean, the man goes out of his way to avoid speaking to any leftist who's not a 19-year-old nervously asking a question in Q&A so that his team can like cut the best ones into little 3-minute clips of Ben Shapiro destroys college snowflake. He very like, I mean, he did the one with Anna, but I think he learned his lesson, right? He's not gonna
a certain level of arrogance to think that maybe this skirt can't
yes, I think that is exactly what was going on. I think that because Anna is a woman, is young, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I think he badly underestimated her. And then when she did what she did in that debate, which is essentially brush off all the culture war stuff and be like, no, I want to talk about like labor unions and,
real stuff.
Yeah. Then like, I don't think he liked it, and I don't think he's repeated it. And, what I say at the end of the article is, look, the better way to, like they should have done the opposite rather than doing this, which he's going to love, right? That shitty book, The Right Side of History, I read. I actually read it because I was like helping Michael with drafts of, Against the Web. The cover copy on that book is all about how many cops UC Berkeley needed to protect him, when he spoke there in 2016.
Awesome.
And which was already 3 years ago, right? So I'm sure he's very grateful that podcasting convention weirdos have given him like this fresh, way to say that. Like, I'm 100% sure that his next book will include some stuff in the cover about when he showed up to take a couple pictures at this convention. The organizers had to apologize for the harm. So we were talking about all this, lunch in Porto Nuevo, and you brought up, right, this one of those clips, right, the of somebody of somebody sort of taking their shot, in a Q&A, and made the point, which I think is exactly right, that like a lot of people on our side of the street were sort of like really into this particular video you're talking about. They're like, oh, this guy owned Ben Shapiro.
Mhm.
But if you actually watch that thing, it's like this kid who, whatever. I mean, it's fine. We like, I'm very grateful that there aren't any, that there's like no video footage of me at the same age, circulating around the world, right?
Yeah.
But like, he seems kind of snotty,
Little bit.
he's talking about his credentials.
Yep.
He does, and he basically is just sort of like contemptuously, I know all about this academic stuff, and what are you doing, and blah blah blah. And then he does this like, you can't even make your wife wet diss, which like is a callback to something we all spent a month snickering about. But
I'm upset about that song.
exactly, yeah. And whatever. I laughed. It was funny, but like any normal person who's watching that, who's not like in the online left subculture where that's like a known bit, right? That everybody knows. Like any normal person watching that would just be like, wow, that kid's kind of an asshole. What is that?
It is off. I don't know. Me personally, if it didn't strike me as like some sort of win. And I think when you mentioned that whole slow clap thing, like everybody wants their slow clap moment. And I think we're living in this era where the owning of people, quote unquote, is never ending. So even if you have a disagreement with someone, there's no conversation around the disagreement. It's just either, you're an idiot, you don't get it, or I'm gonna own you. So I mean, going to see Ben Shapiro speak, you're probably gonna hear a lot of things you don't want to hear. And I don't know. I just really, what were you gonna, to me, it's like, okay, well, what were you gonna get out of this whole thing? And so Ben Shapiro has one of the top 5 podcasts in the nation post this owning.
Right.
So you did nothing to slow down the machine, and you actually gave the machine fodder.
Yeah.
And I find that fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, so the slow clap thing I was saying, it's like, I think there's a lot of people like who aren't, college students in a Q&A, right? Who are like, who do this for a living. When they do get a chance to talk to people like this, which is in most cases with Shapiro, you don't, because he doesn't do that. But I suggest at the end of the article that what they should have done is invite him onto a panel with Sam Cedar, and which would have deprived him of the content.
Can't clip that.
And exactly, and then also would have the advantage that anybody who truly was traumatized by running into him in the hallway wouldn't have to worry about that, because he wouldn't show up, right? But like but yeah, a lot of people. Sam's not one of them. He's good about this, but like a lot of people, even who do this for a living, when they are in a position to talk to people like that, what they're really trying for, and I'm sure they wouldn't think of it in exactly these terms, right? But like, it seems to me that what they're trying for is sort of creating moments that will make people who already like them slow clap, right? Like, it's like, oh, you got him, right? But the problem is, I mean, look, if all you're trying to do is build a personal brand, or or just whatever, do entertainment, which is fine. I mean, all media has an entertainment component,
Yes.
that's totally legitimate, but like, if that's all you're trying to do, that's actually a pretty decent strategy. But like, if you're also trying to advance a political project, it's a terrible strategy, because anybody who doesn't already agree with you is like, you are not going to move the needle one iota with that person by doing that, right? I mean, all they'll, like, for one thing, I mean, if you're talking to, I did the debate last year with Charlie Kirk, right? I mean, like, okay, if you're arguing with Charlie Kirk, who's anybody who's watching, right? Like, including those people who might be persuadable, right? Like, every audience has has layers to it, right? There are super duper hardcore fans. There are people who are sort of casually giving it a listen, et cetera, right? But like, even the people who are actually persuadable, right? Like look, you might think Charlie Kirk's an asshole. I might think Charlie Kirk's an asshole, but they don't.
Yeah.
Right. Or else they wouldn't be listening. Right.
Exactly.
Like, so if all you're doing is like, is just trying to, is just sort of performing, right, how much you hate him, then people who already hate him will enjoy that, right? You know, but people who don't, right, you know, will just stop listening to you, right? So and then so that just seems pointless to me, right? I think it's like actually way better. I mean, like the fact that by and large, I mean, not always, I mean, with the James O'Keefe thing, you know, I said what I said because like it came out as sincerely being very pissed off in the moment, as Jason could attest. But like generally speaking, right, I am polite to a fault when I talk to these guys, and that's on purpose, right? Because I don't want anybody who, you know, I could plant some seeds with in the audience to just turn it off at the outset,
but
right?
the seeds, but that was so interesting for that time because I think that I can attest to this. Coob can attest to this. We're both there.
Yeah.
People that weren't either they didn't know you. Some people came up to you and said, I didn't know who you were until today, and I'm really interested. And you made me think. Like multiple people walked up to you afterwards and said, you made me think about things differently.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know, and let me say this in defense of Ben Burgis. Ben Burgis, I think I said this on air on my show, and I want him to make sure that he sees me.
Okay.
I'm going to look at you while I talk to him.
Okay.
He's at a level now. Maybe you should exit through the back when you do these shows when no one's there to fucking see you. They're there to see you get shit on. And I'm just gonna walk through. You're gonna what? Like I'm expecting to be like, meet me out back. You know, there's a little exit. Tell the security guy. No. He just walks through the front and people are coming up to him and congratulating him.
Yeah,
and these aren't Ben Burgis fans. These aren't and in my I'm a cautious person, right? You see me, I'm probably too much, right? And my thought is just stay out of harm's way. I don't want to know. In that crowd, I don't want to know if you want to tell me that I turned your head around because I know I'm in a lion's den when I'm walking in. I'm not trying to walk back and see how the lions are doing afterwards, even if you're just coming to see us, which is the way you walked. It's very like you were mowing a yard, you know, you didn't care. But I worry about those things because I think everybody's crazy or has the potential to be crazy. And I won't get into, you know, what we were dealing with that night. It was kind of some interesting things I saw, but yeah, there was something about your demeanor though, because I think you were a little angrier. Yeah, you weren't rude because they were high-fiving as they walked in because they're like, we got them, and elbowing each other. You know, kind of there was some real like I haven't seen that level of behavior since watching an 80s movie.
You're talking about Tim Pool and James O'Keefe. Yeah.
Like the jocks that just got the nerd. Like, we just put icy hot in his underwear. His balls are gonna burn. Like that was the kind of level of high five they gave each other. And it's almost like the atomic wedgie didn't work though, because people saw it for what it was, because you didn't back down. You didn't waver at all. In your speech patterns also. It was probably the angriest I had seen you, but you're also texting in the back like these motherfuckers. So you know, me and Cooper are like, oh, this is gonna be good. But it was really cool to see that because it reminded me, first of all, I'm not this guy. Maybe my co-host Pascal is a maybe, and that's not a diss to him at all.
Sure, but
maybe there is a place. Sadly, we did a show that they lost, right?
They did with Anna,
Anna Kasparian. Where we asked the question: is there a place for this debate? And that was the night where all of my conjecture about it, I kind of got proved wrong because people have hit me up personally, like because of Michael Brooks or Sam Cedar or you even, now I'm not a right winger or this or that. It's like, but that takes time. That's a long process. And I'm not saying these people, threw away their MAGA hats and are voting for Bernie, but
no, but anybody who does this regularly gets those testimonials, like that people will say that, right? That, like, you helped me, blah blah blah, right? I mean, I also think even in that case, right, which is like, I mean, by far the strangest debate that I've ever been part of, in many many ways, right? Like even the idea of it was strange. It was like something I wasn't going to say no to, but it was like a weird idea, right? That's like, I remember telling, our friend Megan Day is the editor at Jacobin. I was just on the phone with her before the debate. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be doing this debate with Tulsi Gabbard and James O'Keefe and Tim Pool. And she told me it sounded like I was describing a dream, right? That like, it's like, oh yeah, Tulsi Gabbard was there for some reason. She wasn't really saying anything, but
she turned around and showed her ass and everybody screamed. I can't lie. I saw her. We were in the balcony. And I saw her from the balcony. I was like, well, I know why they screamed. It's just don't be so upfront about, we love you, Tulsi. Did you have to say it right when she turned around? Oh, Jesus.
But yeah, and then the thing itself was just, again, like that was like the setup and everything. I mean, that was like very unlike most debates that I would do in many ways. And it was definitely the most just sort of crazy, weird energy, right, with the crowd and everything else, right? But like, even there, right, like, which I don't even consider to be like a particularly like successful or interesting debate. I mean, it's like a good story, right? But I mean, but that's not one of the things that I would be like, oh, if I'm gonna like show somebody what I do or whatever, like that's not the video I'll send them, right? But but even there, right? Like when people were doing the and I don't think these people are lions. It's not giving that much credit, but like, yeah, when some people were coming up and being like, oh, I never thought about that before. What were they talking about, right? They weren't talking about the thing that like people on the left enjoyed. And I'm not saying it's bad to enjoy it, whatever. I'm glad I can, like I said, all media has an element of entertainment and that's totally legitimate, right? But they're not talking about the thing people on the left enjoyed, which is me calling James O'Keefe a gutter level snitch, right? It's because I was mad, right? Like that's all that came out of. But that's not what they're talking about, that like, oh, I showed him, right? Because that's not going to change anybody's mind about anything, right? What they were talking about was the point about labor unions and job security. That was like the kind of like core of what I was saying, right? That like, because that's an actual point they hadn't thought about before, right? And that's the kind of thing that not everybody, not I'm sure the great majority of people listening, but I mean that's the kind of thing that some people, anybody who is going to actually be like, oh, huh, right? Yeah. Like that's what they're going to have that reaction to, because it's that point about how like all these people on the right claim to care so much about free speech, but they want to weaken labor unions to make it easier to fire people, right? Yeah. Like that's like, and this is the other thing we were talking about at lunch, that I think that it's really a total waste if you're in one of these conversations. And keep in mind that, well, you've been writing something about media that you've been telling me about, and you've been talking about the history of media and how it's changed and all that. And, as like a big part of that history is that the kind of media landscape we have right now is just utterly fragmented in this like totally I don't know about historically unprecedented, but certainly within recent memory, right? Unprecedented way, where everybody can kind of order their media diet a la carte, right? It's like if I want to, if I don't know, if like not you, Jason Myles, but the generic you, right? Mm-hmm. You have like a super mega uncle who wants to like listen to like nothing but the Ben Shapiro show and whatever, like. He has got content that could fill every hour of his day. Yes. Right. He never has to expose himself to anything else. And same is true for everything else, right? Every other like shade of opinion. I mean, like I have a friend who I was telling you about earlier, right? Who up until a few years, a couple of years ago, I guess, he worked at a General Motors factory, and he would just like listen to Chapo Trap House and listen to headphones all day, right? Because like there are a million episodes, you can just do that, right? So given that, when you're having one of these conversations, most likely there is a significant percentage of the people who are listening for whom this is the first time they've ever heard a leftist speak for an extended period of time. And it just seems like a complete waste of that opportunity for me to, if you're not presenting some kind of positive vision, right? Like not just like, ooh, you think those guys are awesome, but actually they suck, right?
Yeah.
But like actually giving them some sense of what we want to do, right? I mean, like
you have to have this is what we were talking about at the restaurant too. The propaganda arm of the right wing is a small part of a bigger
That's
project.
true too.
But and Ben Shapiro owning the libs is less of a recruitment tool to me than the community outreach that you see on the right, the infiltration of the church, the infiltration of local and state politics. There's a reason why Texas and Alabama have had anti-abortion laws on the books for some time. This isn't a new phenomenon, and it's not because of the rise of Jordan Peterson.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. I mean, this is the other thing. We I don't know. I think we might have talked about this yesterday, but it's like I think that there's a mistake that people can sometimes make on the left where they fixate on the most luridly insane people on the right because they're the most entertaining. And I get it, right? But I think that's a thing, right? Like and I'm not immune from that. Like I'll sometimes when I'm like doing a long car trip, like, and I just want I want to listen to something, like I will pop on this podcast called Knowledge Fight that is all about Alex Jones, right? And it's
like ripping him apart.
Yeah, exactly, right? And it's like it is a very entertaining podcast, but also like I don't actually think he matters that much, right? Like in the bigger picture, like yeah, that the Dobbs decision overturning Roe v. Wade, right? Alex Jones didn't do that, right?
No.
The Proud Boys didn't do that. A bunch of Federalist Society ghouls who are incredibly boring people who rose up through the judiciary, being confirmed by votes cast by politicians who are bankrolled by all those people with those houses by the ocean in San Clemente, right? They did that, right? Like that's who did that, right? That's who you should be worried about. And yeah, I agree that even in terms of the I mean, I think it's right that the propaganda. I mean, look, the propaganda arm of any successful movement is only a small arm of that movement, right? Like that's just true, right? Like you don't have, and like sometimes people say weird things, like it's like, oh, since you're, I'm into debate or whatever. They're like, oh, so you think we could like debate our way to socialism? It's like, no, I also don't think we could podcast our way to socialism, right? Like, I think, I think that I don't think we can like Jacobin magazine our way to socialism, right?
Look, I'm really far away from the board, and it's so obvious that I'm hitting it that it's not like cool. But look,
like the point just being, I think obviously media is a thing worth doing. I think that can like usefully serve our political project. I wouldn't be doing all this if I didn't think that. You wouldn't be doing this if you think that, right? As we have discussed many times, like, if all you want to do is like build a brand and a following, which is all some people seem to want to do, then I don't understand why you talk about politics at all. Like you'd have way more fun and probably be more successful just talking about movies,
but here's the thing.
But like, if you are gonna like, yeah, I think media can be a useful part, right? But like, it's just one small part, right? I'm very aware that like, if the correct ratio is you should have like about 100 like salts to organize unions for like every one podcaster, right? Like, That's how that should work. But if you are going to do media stuff, I actually think debate is one of the most useful things you can do because it's like a chance to talk to somebody else's audience.
It's a chance to have an illuminating conversation. It can be.
Ideally.
But I think I was about to rewatch.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I think I watched it a couple times actually. The Best of Enemies. So it's about
Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley. Yeah. Yep.
And I do think there's a huge difference between Gore Vidal and William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal and Gore Vidal and Buckley and Baldwin.
Yeah. Yep.
I think there's a massive difference between the two because I think by the time you get to Vidal and Buckley, those are the kind of kayfabe pro wrestling entertainment conversations you want to see because they're just so antithetical. Yeah. And it makes for great TV. And also, remember those early debates.
Yep.
Even X and Baldwin are PBS debates.
Right.
And we're pivoting into a time where news now can actually be profitable. So the idea of these two having that clash actually can pull in advertising dollars. Yep. Which is why it's so memorable because also Buckley gets a show.
Yeah.
Throughout the 70s. I forgot what it was called.
Firing Line, right?
Firing.
Yep.
I watched so much of that. I don't know if it was a show was it a show you were on? You motherfucker. It was. We brought your monkey ass on for when the Hitchens book came out, and I was looking for clips for an intro, you son of a bitch. And then I had to watch that shit for something else. But I feel like both times it was you motherfucker. But
I actually just did a thing a little while ago where Nathan Robinson and I watched the Fire and Line episode where he has Norman Thomas on to talk about Vietnam, and that's like Norman Thomas, like the age Noam Chomsky is now, right? Yeah. I mean, this is like, and it's like he has this good sort of like grandfather who's like run out of patience with your shit energy to him. It's like, are we going to sit around making clever comments, Mr. Buckley, or are we going to talk about Vietnam?
Which is why I honestly feel like you will never see a prominent right-wing figure. Yeah. Charlie Kirk was on the rise when he debated Sam Cedar. So much like college athletics, I can take that first L early in the season and it won't count later in my career. And what's the guy's name? Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
At some point, they're going to figure out that there's going to be pay-per-view style money in these kind of challenges. I don't think we're quite there yet. And I don't say this in a good way.
Yeah, right.
I don't say this like I'm prognosticating a positive future. This is my hellscape world I'm talking about right now.
This isn't like your plan for paying for the house in San Clemente.
No, because I don't have. Sam Cedar has the patience of a saint. Because he can sit there, well, what you missing the point about? Yeah.
No.
Sam can do that shit to them.
No, I think that's right. I think you
cussed a man out the other day that I'm still paying for that shit. Fucking, I don't have patience for this shit.
No,
but because these guys are afraid of it really damages the brand when they don't have a witty comeback.
Yeah.
And then they get frustrated and have to either they get rage quitting or talking over you. Hey, you suck. You suck. And that's what would end up happening because the first thing you're going to do is slow the conversation down. Hey, you done fast talking? Okay, now let's get that F's them up. And to get it, like you said, a nervous college kid that just wants to either emotionally vent and you're not ready for it.
That's right.
As a person that just, again, recently dealt with being, I wasn't ready to talk about this, when you're not ready for something and someone hits an emotional button on you and they see they've hit that emotional button,
Yeah.
at that moment, all you are is clip material for them.
Right. Yep.
No matter what you say that is right, it's going to be emotionally charged, and they're going to use it to show.
Yeah, generally speaking, getting mad is a very bad idea in these contexts.
And I get it, man. These kids want to get there because they want to tell the guy to F off. And then it's like, after you told him to F off, did you pay money to tell him to F off?
Yeah.
Like, what did you get out of telling him to F off?
Yeah, right. Like, because what you think you're going to get is what's never, ever, ever going to happen, right? Which is that, I don't know. Well, which is, it'll be like an episode of The West Wing where like President Bartlett, like, one of the Republican stick figures in The West Wing will like say something dumb, and like President Bartlett or one of his aides will like give this this like speech that's so well put together it might as well be an iambic pentameter, and they just kind of like slink away in silence and shame, right? Like that's but like of course that won't happen, and that won't just happen because like whatever, you're like a 19-year-old kid who's like kind of mad that you're probably not going to be very good at it, which is not a judgment. I'm sure I would have been worse, right?
You're just not ready.
Sure, what totally agreed, right? But like it's not just because of that, right? It's because like nobody could, right? Like because that's not how it works. That's not how any of this works, right? Like you're not gonna, you don't say the thing and like they're just like, they're just stumped. They're just like there's just nothing that they could say, and they have to commit harikiri or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's no, they'll say some shit, right? Like that's not the point, right? Like they'll and be composed, like ideally, right? Though, if you can like have like a consistent narrative that you're putting forward that like again includes some kind of positive vision people can actually get excited about, not just like you suck, no you suck. You do the thing that Liz Brunig says, which says like half the point of a debate is to get the other person to tell you what they really think, right? So like you mentioned Sam, he's a master at this. Like he'll have this like very mild conversation with like some libertarian freak for like an hour and a half until he can get them to say like, no, actually, I think the people who died in that Miami condo collapse, they should have just done better diligence about the they should have asked for the blueprints, the rental.
Who doesn't ask for the blueprints when they move into an apartment?
Which then anybody who's remotely gettable, right, who might otherwise be sort of nodding along with the libertarians' rhetoric will be like, oh wait, that's where that goes. That I don't know about that, right? Like,
yeah, that's exactly where. Yeah,
like, and that actually, does some good. And it's not like in that example, the person I'm being unkind to in that recounting, right? Like Yarnbrook, like it's not like he. I mean, it's not like he just like disappeared in a puff of being owned, right? I mean, like he's fine, right? That's not. And from his perspective, it's like, oh, well, I said a bunch of, I gave him the truth, right? That's not the point, right? You're not trying to, it's not even like if you have like a Republican aunt, right, that you got into an argument with Facebook, it's not even a realistic goal that you're going to convince your aunt in the argument, right? Never mind, right, that you're going to convince the guy who spends his entire life like working for the Ayn Rand Institute, right? Like that's not going to happen, right? Like that's not the point. The point is to, the point is to move the needle with whoever's in the audience with a movable needle.
There you have it, needles. This was a fun conversation. We've been talking for an hour.
Yeah.
I want to do more of these, so I don't know who I'm going to do another one with. No one wants to come to Mexico.
Yeah.
Everybody's Ben is the first person to not be terrified of Mexico. We'll see if everybody comes down after the show. We could do a fun after party here.
We could do a very fun after party here.
Imagine after the show and we come down, or even like the next day we come down and like hang out downtown.
Yeah.
That would be hella fun.
Should
It's Griscom's birthday.
It is Griscom's birthday. I was just thinking about that.
Griscom's
See if
birthday
he's
is
got
the day after.
Yep.
Varn says the day before. Who else is coming? Kuba's going to be there.
Yeah.
Kasparian was actually telling me about she hasn't been down here in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
We should have a great big shindig. We're planning this out all on air.
Yeah.
This is called an on-air production meeting. Let's do that. And then we can figure out how to push the computer back even further.
Because there'll be so many people there. Yeah.
And have
get everybody at least do one quick shot,
and I have more mics.
Yeah. No, I think we should do it. I think it'll
that would be fun.
I think it'd be savage.
Okay.
We coming for you, nigga.
That's for you, Ben Burgis. Just because Ben said that, I'm gonna after I put everything the hour and a half it's gonna take for me to put everything away. I'm gonna make Ben watch Ninja 3 the Diamond. I don't know what movie I tried to watch last night.
Oh my god, so granted, we were both like falling in and out of sleep watching this thing. So I might have an inaccurate impression of this.
I don't know what was on the screen. I turned it on and then I turned me off and you were on the chair next to me. I was thinking to myself, how the fuck did he get on the chair next to me?
And so this movie, it's like a 70s movie.
It's from the 80s, dude.
Really?
That's how
Okay.
It's got hella big, really? Yeah.
Okay, the film like that, like just physically the way it looked was
very
okay. That's interesting. So like it basically, it sort of started out like for what felt like at least an hour of the movie. They were at
this weird cave party. Were you watching it when the dude outsmarted the fucking security guard?
I missed this part.
He just the security guard was like, "No one crosses," and then the dude was like, he went like this, like walked that way. The security guard moved, and then he went like that. And the security guard moved in front of him, and then the guy goes, "Oh, hey, who's that?" And the dude turned around, and the dude asked him. And then for the rest of like that scene, you see the security guard like just looking for the guy.
This is because I remember. I mean, I don't even know what this movie was, but like
this is what I read. So I was reading the things and I was trying to find something ridiculous because I was waiting for you to see if you were going to come out in the living room and then maybe we watch a horror movie or something. And so it was like in a World War III post-apocalyptic nightmare, only one man can save people. I don't know from what because the world's over. So kind of, what do you save it? And it was. So I was like, I want to watch this because it's gonna be fucking stupid. Like, if there's any movie that's like Class of something, I'm like watching it. Class 1984, watching it. Class 1999, even better. 1984, the neoliberal robots.
Oh yeah,
you should watch that because you've never seen that. Huh?
I have not. No.
The neoliberal robots.
Neoliberal.
It's a future where like the years 1999, gangs terrorize the urban environment. Teachers are getting their just asses kicked by these kids. Maybe they're bigger. But a kick in their ass. So only one corporation knows how to fix this. Robot teachers that beat the dog shit out of these kids for maybe a good 45 minutes till one of them figures out that they're robots and fights back. But there's a good 45 minutes of severe ass kicking.
Yeah.
But it's and that's what it is. It's like well, the police can't do anything. What we're gonna do? Well, we got these military robot androids that could shoot rockets out of their tits.
And this is what we're gonna use in the classroom.
Yeah, this is makes sense. Because the kids are doing this new crazy drug called Spankle Sparkle. It's like some stupid ass name. Like, you got any glint? Glint has taken over the streets. If that guy's narrating a movie, I'm watching it. So I read every description in that voice. So I've been looking for movies that make, because it doesn't make sense if you're watching like Fried Green Tomatoes.
Yeah, right.
It's a country summer. 3 old broads are talking about them. Like, it doesn't. It's just more offensive that way. When you watch like the action movie, where they implant, you have to implant a ninja henchman. If you have a ninja henchman,
yeah.
if you have a lot of explosions,
yeah.
Because I can read it in that voice, like the 3 FBI agents that are hard on the white. I watched a movie the other day where these white supremacists killed a black senator's son, and no one in the black community did anything, cared. Senator's son at a parade. It was like Mardi Gras. Like, man, not one NAACP scene, not one scene with like an angry preacher is like, what is the president gonna do about this? No. The only person that cared, Michael Dudikoff, aka American Ninja. Michael Dudikoff was like the only person that, like, they killed my best friend's son. I must do something to avenge him, bro. And I'm like, word? Like, just you? Like, no old Panthers wanting to come out of retirement to like whoop these people's ass? There's no like there's no black Marines that give a shit. Like, you literally,
I mean, also just like a senator's son just died. This would be like like violently, right? This would be
was 5. They shot the baby. Dude.
Yeah. The 5-year-old son of like any senator, like, being killed would, like, I mean, that would be a major national issue for forever. I mean, that's like,
You think.
I would think so, yeah.
Kind of in and out of the news cycle in this universe.
It's just not even a big deal.
This is how funny this movie was to me. Where I was like, should I clip this for Pascal? I don't know. So it's Mardi Gras in this movie, and the senators on a parade float, and all of a sudden these people just come out of nowhere with Uzis, these white guys, and just start mowing motherfuckers down. The Uzi was a hot gun in the 80s. Doesn't really do as much damage as people think because the caliber of bullet that was coming out of it. You get a rapid fire, but a lot of people lived from those things. But in these movies, any injury you get, dead. Stab wound to the arm, dead. Uzi shot to the knee, dead. So the Uzi guys are coming out just oozing the shit out of everybody. Now, the senator's not just a regular black man. He was Dudikoff's co-star in American Ninja.
Okay.
So he's already like Carl Weathers light.
Okay.
And so he's ripped and karate ready.
So he's like a ninja senator.
Ninja senator.
Okay.
Black ninja senator.
Black ninja senator. All right, very
American
good.
Ninja as your co-pilot. He's your boy. Like, only one man I trust to come with my family and I on this parade float where I'm not really hiding myself. I'm literally on the goddamn float. And my kid's on another float by himself, but I'm worried for some reason. I got to bring my assassin friend, but the kid's just there. So Dudikoff and Black Ninja Man, they
Black Ninja Senator.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's pulling a racism.
That's right.
The more you know. Anti-racism with Ben Burgis. That's our new show every Monday at 9 Pacific time. So this murder happens, and so in New Orleans, I don't know if you know this, a lot of the cops are on horseback.
Yeah.
The streets are way smaller. So the horseback cops come in, and Uzi dudes are just fucking everybody's getting effed. And a main assassin who looks like the nerd in every 80s movie, that's like the nerd mastermind that then gets his ass kicked and is acting like the nerd mastermind, can somehow like jump building to building. I'm like, whoa, you're taking a lot of movie tropes, flipping them on their head. I don't know if that was in the pitch meeting. Okay, here, black man. He's not going to be the side guy or the guy that proves to everybody else that the white guy's tough because he gives the tough white guy his coffee. This black guy is going to be a senator. Forward thinking. So, and the nerd mastermind, he won't be the mastermind. He'll be the top assassin that can do ninja shit, but not as good as the ninja. So, and it's a canon film, so that's actually how the pitch meeting sounds. And I did a racism. The mom wife is in tears because her young son literally got mowed down by a freaking Uzi. Her husband is standing shirtless, mourning his Uzi'd son. They have one left now. And then Dudikoff walks out, everything comes, the ambulance comes and everything. And you would think the parade would be shut down. The reason why the nerd guy gets away is because he went out of another door and everything was fine. No one heard the commotion. No one got hit by a stray bullet, which I was like, that's pretty cool. And he just you walked to the other side of the building and everything was cool. Like people walking oh, did you hear anything? Like Uzi fire? No, it's Mardi Gras, Denny's. No one. I was like,
so among other things, I think that we should really start agitating for the U.S. military to use the magical Uzis that don't kill anybody else. This would really cut down on war crimes. If we used the magical
fuck drones.
No, yeah, drones
drone schmoes.
Exactly. No. You want the Uzis with zero stray bullets.
We need the guns from Cannon films. Those one-shot Uzi deaths. And so then what it was so they find out that the people behind the assassination of the senator's son, they missed the senator. They got his son instead. And which is also kind of dude's got to be 6 feet and his kid's 3 apples high. He's 5. You guys are bad at this. What was really funny is when dude's kid got shot, the way he grabbed the kid, he didn't do it in a way you would probably think you dive on your son.
Yeah,
he
right.
grabbed him and picked him up and faced the fire.
He's using his son as a shield.
So and again, in defense of that, I don't know where he thought the camera was. And I don't know what shot he thought they were going to use, and maybe that's bad editing.
Okay.
In all fairness of the actor, because he grabbed him and then he had him where the fire was coming from for the shot we see. It's dude, did you just Nino Brown your kid and use him as a shield right now? Fuck, he's dead already. Fuck. That's a hell of a fit. So anyway, so they find out that it's a white supremacist organization.
There's being willing to pull the trigger, and there's being willing to use your freshly murdered son as a shield.
What are you doing to our son? Ours. Mama's baby, daddy's maybe. So Carl Weathers Jr. after using his son like Captain America's goddamn shield in the battle against Thanos. I really want to talk to the actor. It was a different angle, right? Like, please tell me that you didn't pick your son up like that. But anyway, so they tell Michael Dudikoff, okay, it's a white supremacist organization.
Yeah.
And apparently they're called the Pentangle.
Not like pentagram.
No. And so I'm watching, I'm like, what did they call them? A fadangle? A ding dangle. It's the ding dangle.
It's a finagle.
It's a finagle. It's the Dudikoff. The ding dangle are coming to get your black friend's son. Can you get the ball with the ball? The bang with the diggy diggy. And he's like, the pentangle? They're like, it's a 5-pointed star. And so
It's like a pentagram.
I guess the circle makes it a tangle.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I felt like this was the thought going through my head. Pentagram it had to have been in the script. And someone goes, we might have a licensing issue. And they're like, word? Yeah. And I think if that's not it, I was like, who wrote this? Fucking moron. It's a pentacle.
It's like, yeah, what do you call that?
But pentacle would have made more sense, but they called it the pentangle.
Okay.
So the pentangle is supposed to be one of the most powerful white supremacist organizations in the world. And so they hunt people. That's their thing. They hunt humans.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be some of the most skilled human hunters in the world because this is just what they do. Now, the humans are at a massive disadvantage because they don't have weapons. They're usually kidnapped. They don't know where the fuck they are. I don't know if that makes you a great hunter. It kind of makes you a great asshole. But one of the guys, so they always have to wear like crazy outfits.
Yeah.
So you would think if you're a hunter, you would wear things that would protect you or camouflage you.
That would make sense.
The main assassin-y dude.
Yeah.
No shirt. Totally on steroids because his nips are long as fuck. His nips look like cocktail weenies. He's got cocktail weenie steroid nips. And he wears a gimp mask. And he's got like that He-Man shit. So it's like no shirt with that He-Man shit. It serves no purpose.
You haven't just slipped into to describing some video they sold you at Porto Nuevo.
You and your boyfriend want this. Why is he my boyfriend? Because I don't want a goddamn fake Cuban cigar. Now I gotta fuck this guy because I don't want a cigar. Like that's how things work here.
Yeah, they were really selling the cigars. Like there was like I feel like at least like of 3 of those guys yelled, "Yes, you don't want that cigar."
I got Cuban cigars. I'm like, what the fuck is this? An 80s movie? Who smokes cigars anymore? Look at how we're dressed. Do we look like we think we're big shots? Really? We're old dudes. We're in a tourist part that sells lobster. We're not over here trying to score cocaine and hookers. Fuck comes down here. Is this where you get the lobster? Yeah. Can we get hookers and coke too? Cuban cigars.
We don't have to make a separate trip for all the rest of that, do we?
That's when Ben comes back for Thanksgiving. But
gonna spend Thanksgiving with my extremely conservative Texan in-laws. I'll have you know, but
bring them down here. They're really gonna love the gay jokes. Sonny, I'll tell you a thing or two. I don't appreciate you calling me homosexual. I just didn't want to partake in what you were selling. I don't appreciate it. Maybe that's how I should have talked to him, and maybe he would have fucked this whole world up. Like, what the fuck just happened to me? Some black white Texan just fucking politely tell me to fuck off. So he's got a Masters of the Universe holster on, a gimp mask, like leggings, but he's got like what is this arm pads.
Ugh.
What the fuck are the arm pads for? All of this, or there's some vital shit here, and it's all exposed. And you're not wearing a helmet. You're wearing a gimp mask. I could kill you with a rock, sir. I could give you a liver shot and drop you to your knees, but you're protecting this? The fuck was I gonna do there? Fucking Charlie horse or some shit? So I was like, how are these guys supposed to be like these great fucking assassins? And then it boils down to Dudikoff fighting the head of the Pentangle, who's probably, when he filmed the movie, no bullshit, in his mid-60s. At no point in the movie has he acted like he's Magneto or some shit. And has like a mutant level ability to do some magical shit. He's just an old white guy that really hates Mexicans. Like, he talked the most evil shit about Latin America. And then, of course, they called the black dude the N-word throughout the whole movie. They spray painted his house with N-word. I think they just did that shit for fun. Like, can you just put an N? No, we're going to write the whole thing. Write it again. Write it again. Make sure you know who he is.
Okay, so the head of the Pentangle is like Lindsey Graham or somebody.
Yeah. If we met, I think the actor's dead. If we met that man, and he, in every Canon film, he was always the bad guy. If we met him and we asked him, who are you modeling that character after? I guarantee he would say something like Lindsey Graham or Strom Thurmond or something like that.
Yeah.
It was such a fucking characterization of those people, and you could tell he wasn't from the South. Like, he didn't really need to have the accent. But anyway, so he's fighting. So Dudikoff just went through the gauntlet of, henchmen in weird bondage-like outfits, and he goes to the main guy, and he somehow got through the main guy's security. He lives in some, I'm a rich bad guy mansion, and the rich man's butler says, "There's someone to see you, sir." And he's having a rich guy meeting where he's talking about how much he hates brown people. Literally, like, with a bunch of, like, he's supposed to be some sort of like rich dude that's like trying to lobby political favor. And so, and he tells the butler, like, I told you I didn't want to be disturbed. And the butler's like, well, this guy, it's pretty serious. And so he goes out and he goes, oh, I think I know who this is. And it's Michael Dudikoff, and he's just all bloody from the battles that he's been having. And the dude's like, come upstairs to my war room, or whatever he called it, or battle room, or I'm gonna fuck you up with random weapons. So they go upstairs, like, politely.
So, like, Lindsey Graham's doing hand-to-hand combat here.
Lindsey Graham is doing hand-to-hand combat and it knows how to handle every ninja weapon that you can ever imagine. And again, I want you to picture Lindsey Graham, because dude is old as fuck. And so he was trying to kill Dudikoff earlier. Dudikoff, like, shot him in the leg or something. And the next scene, the leg wound is gone.
Sure.
And I'm like, whoa, what kind of quick healing ability does Wolverine have over here? And so they have this long fight that you're thinking, did it really have to take this long for to fight Paw Paw? Like, couldn't you just punched him one time and ended his whole fucking day? Like, activate his AARP shit. Like, all the benefits kicked in now. Dudikoff kick me in my replacement hip. And just every weapon is like a room full of weapons. I was like, first of all, why did you politely walk up the stairs? This guy. So the bad guy, and they always have to, like, do horrible shit, right? They have to kidnap a loved one.
Right, of course, right.
So Dudikoff has a sister, and they kidnapped his sister, and they had sold her to a whorehouse. So before all this happens, he has to go get his, like, 10-year-old sister that I think is mentally challenged out of a whorehouse. Right there, we're not having polite conversation when I go to your house.
Well, I'm not gonna be dishonorable and, like, trip you on the stairs while you're walking up to your battle room.
Like, wiping his shoes as he walks in.
Oh, sorry. Where do I put this?
The guy goes, come with me upstairs. Like, upstairs? I'm throwing grenades in every room. Give a fuck. You just pimped out an 8-year-old child. And, and to add even more insult to injury, they found out where they were staying, because there's always intel, right? There's always magical intel. So the white supremacists, before this even happens, they find out where the black guy's staying. This black senator is hiding his family. And this is one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. Everybody gets out except for the one fucking kid that's left, right? Your other son just died like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
Now your one kid's left. So the black senator goes, I'm going to go get my son. And everyone's like, no. So there's like foreshadowing you're going to die.
Yeah.
But usually he's going to die. The kid's going to live.
Right.
So as he walks in, they shoot him with a crossbow in the back. That sucks. He keeps walking. He walks up. Dudikoff goes, I have to go too, because damn it, if this black guy takes all the glory. I wouldn't be surprised if Dudikoff totally ad-libbed that whole thing. So anyway, black dude gets his son. The house is engulfed in flames, right? Dudikoff comes up, and the black dude takes his son out, because the only way he can get out is through the window, and his son, of course, sleeping in like the attic, because of course, if I'm hiding out in the house, I want to separate my family as much as possible, because we just suffered a tragedy.
Yeah. And
he pisses the bed, so let him sleep in the loft. So they go out like a window or something, and then they just, Lindsey Graham orders to shoot the dude, and the dude gets like shot in the knee. He falls off the roof holding the kid. So again, holding the kid.
It's not with a doozy, so he lived.
Oh, he falls off the roof, but they used a dummy for the kid, right? So the next scene, you just see the kid's head like bounce off the roof, and then fucking it's a big ass house. It's like, oh, like, I was like, I knew it was a dummy, but Jesus Christ, you guys didn't really think this through at all. And so the kid, he like bounced off the ground. I was like, oh my God. And so Ben, it's almost 10 p.m. here, Pacific time. I'm watching this at like 2 a.m. Like that, what? Like you were like, what the fuck am I watching? So I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? And then like, the dude with I think one of the dudes that is dressed totally inappropriately to be an assassin walks up and just fucking puts one in the kid's head.
Jesus.
It's like, fuck, this movie's brutal as shit. So this guy's seen all this stuff happen, right? And he goes to the bad guy's house for the last scene. And he like politely walks with him up the stairs. And then he gets challenged to a duel. And they set the movie up for like a sequel. Are you fucking kidding me? I would have violated that man so many different ways that when Jesus came, he would have been like, you did a lot of good, Jay, but we need to talk about vengeance. And we need to talk about why you can't come here. Right? And then it just like ended. And I was like, wait, you ended like part of me wants the sequel? Because I have to see the dude find out who is the missing piece of the pentangle. But every time they did say pentangle, pentagram. So I kind of want you to watch it because I know you're going to pentagram.
One reason I just like sat here while you described the entire movie is that I knew I was going to enjoy listening to you describe it way more than I would enjoy actually having to watch this fucking movie. But now that I know everything that happens in it, maybe we could just watch Nightmare on Elm Street or something.
That sounds like a plan. I'm down to do that. And we have all of them on a streaming service. So nice. Ben and I are out. We're probably going to do this again in October with a bunch of other people. I cannot guarantee if they're going to be sober.
Fair enough.
Peace.